What's going on, everyone? Gilman back with another video. Live well, live wealthy, again on the wealth side of things. And as we've done for the past 2 days, we are going to be looking at Apple, the price action for today, as well as going over the event that took place today and what came of that, and then see what kind of the future outlook of the company is. But before we get to that, go down, like the video, subscribe. It literally takes 5 seconds and it doesn't cost you anything. So go down there and do it. Just hit that subscribe button, hit the like button. It really helps us out. All right, let's get right into it. So as you can see here, I have the 1 day, 1 minute chart pulled up. And if you recall from the video yesterday, I was kind of bullish on Apple going into today, which is why I had a call option that I bought yesterday. And that ended up being good for me because as you can see here, so taking a look at the 5-day chart now, from the 14th to the 15th, so yesterday to today, we saw a gap up, moving from in the 115s up to the 117s, and it actually going back to the 1 day chart, it hit a high of 118.83, and so in the morning, as I talked about yesterday, what we've seen is this general trend of Apple gapping up, or whenever it's gapped up in the past like 3, 4, 5 trading days, it's faded throughout the day, and we saw that exactly here. So this day gapped up, faded down, a couple other days it did the same thing, and so I wanted to make sure that I wasn't caught up in that fade, and so as soon as it gapped up and I was up on my trade, I went ahead and took the trade off. Going into the event, so Apple had the Time Flies event today. What we see here in the first a couple hours of the day was kind of weird. It was falling, but if you look at this here, so as I mentioned, it gapped up from the 14th to the 15th. So this is what's called filling the gap. Typically when it gaps up or when it gaps down, the stock will try to fill the gap, right? Because what you see here is a trade being taken at 115, and then we move to 118. So filling the gap simply means retracing back to where it was. But what happens after that really depends. So this was good for Apple because they had an event today, so enough people were willing to buy it at this point, and then it went back up and it played around, stuck around the VWAP for a while. Here's where we see the first drop for the day, and then tries pushing up the VWAP again, but comes right back down, touches it again, and then from that point on, we saw it just dropping, all the way down to 113. And what I kind of want to show you guys is, these drops that happen are not small drops. You see it going up kind of slowly, taking pauses and going up, but these downs are kind of hard. It did rally kind of into the close, but it still closed below the VWAP, which is actually one of the reasons why I personally did not take a trade today. I'm not sure if it's going to gap up or gap down tomorrow, so I personally did not take a trade. For a lot of the day it looked kind of bearish because after the event, which was the catalyst of leading up to it, we know that it would hold up. Right after that, we see this drop and then another drop, coming all the way down to 113. And then it did push back up and it closed at 115.54, and then after hours it's doing a little bit of movement here and there. But so yeah, that's my current stance, is I don't have a trade, and I'll kind of see what tomorrow's action looks like to see if I want to place a trade for tomorrow. Typically my strategy is to kind of look at the price action throughout the day and then place a trade within the last hour of the day, based on what I think tomorrow's action is going to be, because what that does is it allows me to see a whole day's worth of action before I'm placing a trade. And the other thing is that I'm not wasting a day trade, so I can buy 2 and then sell it 1 the next morning, and then if I think it's going to continue the way I want it to go, then I can keep 1 if I take 2 options trades, and so on. So just a follow up from yesterday's trade, I took a screenshot of it just now. I mentioned to you guys that I bought Apple calls expiring 9/25, which is a week from this Friday, next Friday. $115 calls, and as I showed you earlier, Apple jumped up to 118. At that point, I let it ride for a little bit, and then around 9:45 is when I went ahead and I took those calls off the table. So excuse me, this is where I took the calls off the table. And so, I was able to make 30%, but if I had held on to those, thinking that it would go higher throughout the day, I would have lost a lot to the fade. Now, starting at 118, going down, trying to trace back up, but then, falling all the way to 113 right after the event. Take that for what you will, but just kind of going over the event, they announced a new Apple Watch Series 6, some minor improvements. They're bringing the Apple Watch SE, which Apple has been doing lately. They've basically taken an old product, given it a new name, minor improvements. I think it looks like an Apple Watch Series 3 to me, but correct me if I'm wrong. They launched 2 iPads, which the iPad Air is essentially like just the Pro. It seems like a cheaper, I think, entry point for the iPad. It was at $329, or $299 for students. Apple One, now this is a really cool thing actually. It combines a lot of Apple services, so it combines iCloud, Apple Music, Apple Arcade, Apple Fitness Plus, which they just launched, and Apple News 2, or Apple News Plus. And this could be a potential source of revenue for Apple in the future, right? So for those people and families that are sort of in the Apple ecosystem, now you can combine and pay one fee to get, all these Apple products or services rather. And then they launched Apple Fitness Plus, which is, a great way to compete with apps like Peloton and other workout apps, as a lot of people are working out from home. And then your software updates. So as expected, no iPhone launched during this event, but that was kind of a given based on the delays that they had been experiencing due to COVID. I think what happens next to Apple is really interesting, because as of today, we had a catalyst event kind of to go based off of for the stock, but now that we don't have that, it'll be interesting to see if Apple continues in that sort of fall that it had last week and the week before, a little bit of market correction, or if it will kind of trade sideways or try to make or try to push for those highs again in the 130s. So that's all I had today. We hope you enjoyed. We hope you learned something. I'll try to do more of these, and if you want to see another stock as well, let me know down in the comment section below. Make sure to like and subscribe, and let's be a bit better every single day. Until next time.